Since it's about time to go back to school, maybe it could also be considered to be going back to college as well. Well, what the hey? For this here movie, they say don't graduate, celebrate. And believe me, this guy has what it takes. Long before he even played Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds was this guy. Here's my review of National Lampoon's Van Wilder. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 2002 rom-com National Lampoon's Van Wilder, also known as Van Wilder Party Liaison, in certain countries. Released by Artisan Entertainment along with Myriad Pictures and Tapestry Films. Directed by Walt Becker in his directorial debut, written by Brent Goldberg and David T. Wagner, starring Ryan Reynolds in the title role, along with Tara Reid, Tim Matheson, and Paul Gleason. The movie was loosely inspired by a 1997 Rolling Stone article about Florida State University alumnus and future stand-up comedian Bert Kreischer. The film was released on April 5th, 2002. The film may have gone distant, what have you, but however, it did pretty decent and what have you. Anyway, let's get into the story. Vance Wilder, Van Wilder to you, is a confident and sardonic seventh year senior at Coolidge College who spends his days driving around campus in his customized golf cart, posing nude for figure drawing classes and organizing soirees and fundraisers for his peers. His father severs financial support upon learning that his son is still in school. Van seeks a payment extension from the registrar, Dolores Haver. After having sex with her, she hands him the paperwork for an extension, whereupon Van realizes he only needed to ask for it. After a couple of attempts to get money fast, Van is approached by the Lambda Omega Omega fraternity, offering to pay him $1,000 to throw them a blowout party to boost their popularity. Gwen Pearson, a reporter for the school paper, writes a story crediting Van as the party's host. Van, who usually refuses to do interviews for the paper, realizes the article can be the cash cow he needs to stay in school and agrees to sit down with Gwen for a follow up piece. Gwen's boyfriend, Richard Bagg, or Dick, is a pre med student and the president of his fraternity, Delta Iota Kappa, as well as of the student government. As he learns of Gwen's work with Van, suspecting a growing bond between them, he moves to sabotage their prospective romance. Van and Richard exchange escalating pranks. Gwen learns that Van stopped attending classes years ago, 18 credits short of graduation. Angry that she dug into such personal details, he dissociates himself from her, taking a contemplative look at his life. Richard arranges to sabotage Van's latest party with Jeannie, a member of a sister sorority, by smuggling children in and getting them drunk, then calling campus police to the scene. Van is arrested for providing alcohol to minors and faces expulsion from Coolidge. He prepares to leave the college until his friend Taj inspires him to fight the charges. Van throws himself at the mercy of the court, asking that rather than expelling him, they force him to graduate. He offers to complete his remaining credits before the semester ends, earning a degree in leisure studies. The academic board votes 3 to 2 in favor of Van's reinstatement. Professor McDougall's was the decisive vote, for reinstatement. Surprisingly, Van begins studying for the finals, which will be held in 6 days. Outside the court, Jeannie reveals Richard's plot to Gwen and his infidelity. Angered by this, Gwen pretends to forgive Richard and then spikes his protein shake with a powerful laxative just before his entrance exam to Northwestern Medical School. While taking the exam, Richard begins to have uncontrollable flatulence and hurries down the line with his exam, not even reading the questions due to his dire need for release. As he rushes to the bathroom, Richard is intercepted by his future alumni, intending to interview him for his entrance. Unable to hold it any longer, Richard drops his pants and proceeds to defecate violently in a wastebasket in front of the doctors, much to their horror and disgust. Now for the ending. As always, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video immediately. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below. As I count down now, if you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Van uses the entire exam period for his last final with his least favorite professor, Professor McDougal, who later delivers the news to him that he passed. McDougal explains that he had been so harsh on Van all those years because he believed that he was not living up to his potential, not because he had also hooked up with McDougal's daughter freshman year. Gwen finishes her article on Van for the graduation issue. In it, she reveals his main contributions to the students and staff of Coolidge in the last 7 years. His superhuman accomplishment of doing a semester's worth of studying in just 6 days, and Richard's plot to have him expelled. Both Richard's reputation and medical school dreams are permanently tarnished. The university celebrates Van's graduation with a wild party in his honor. After reading Gwen's article, his father admits that he was wrong and expresses his pride in Van's success. And Gwen arrives, lovingly reuniting with Van. End of story. So, what did I think of National Lampoon's Van Wilder? Well, I actually think it's pretty good. It has become somewhat of a guilty pleasure. Now, I saw this a long time ago, since I have it on VO cassette. I haven't watched it in ages, so I had to do streaming. I have streamed this film on Tubi a few times, and well, it's still as crazy as I remember. Believe me, after we had recently gotten some raunchy stuff in the last few years or so, like the American Pie films, this film was just so crazy. Despite being dissed by critics, but being popular with audiences, the film did well in the US, 21 million and 16 million overseas, as it went on to make 38 million overall on its $5 million budget. Anyway, but the reviews, yeah, for current ones, Rotten Tomatoes has a score of 18, saying it's a derivative, gross out comedy that's short on laughs. Metacritic has a score of 26, and the audiences surveyed by Cinema Score gave the film a C+. Well, this kind of feels like a mixed bag, though. While one review said this was the next Animal House. Of course, everybody remembers National Lampoon's Animal House, which came out 24 years prior. But nevertheless, this film came out and ended up being a big success for artists. And still, I gotta give it credit for what it had to offer. It also has music by David Lawrence, and also a pretty good soundtrack, which include music from artists like The Living End, Jimmy Eat World, American Hi-Fi, NERD, Sum 41. Oh, the list goes on. It also includes one song that I've heard several times as its video was played on MTV and MTV2, which was Bouncing Off the Walls by the band Sugar Cult. Yeah. Anyway, so you've got to admit the music's pretty good and what have you. Even after this, there would be a sequel that would be released by MGM 4 years later in The Rise of Taj. And it focuses on Taj. Even though it's called Van Wilder, The Rise of Taj, but of course Van's not in this film. Anyway, then 3 years later, a direct-to-DVD prequel released by Paramount under its Paramount Famous Productions label, titled Van Wilder Freshman Year, was released, and it follows Van as he deals with his freshman year of college. Now, that's the film I have not yet seen. I have seen Rise of Taj, however, and it's nice and what have you. It's mostly some of this craziness and what have you. But overall, I found the film to be a little bit crazy, but very raunchy though in various parts. A whole lot. For our cast, we have Ryan Reynolds as the titular character of Van Wilder, or Van Wilder Jr. Well, you know, as his dad, Van Wilder Sr. was played by Tim Matheson, who actually did appear in National Lampoon's Animal House. Yes, both of those guys were good. Playing Gwen is Tara Reid, who recently did the first two American Pie films, and several others. Kal Penn, appears as Todd. This was a film that kind of introduced us to him. And of course, after this, he would appear in the Harold and Kumar films as well as Superman Returns. Not too bad. The late great Paul Gleason, who you might remember him from numerous films, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to do some. Yeah. Um, he was, of course, best known for playing assistant principal Richard Vernon in The Breakfast Club years later, and he appeared in numerous other films as well. I will say he does a pretty good job in his performance as Professor McDougal. Playing Richard Bragg is Daniel Cosgrove, who, of course, some people might remember him as Matt Durning from Beverly Hills 90210. Of course, he also appeared in numerous soaps like All My Children, Guiding Light, As the World Turns, and Days of Our Lives. Yeah, this guy was a. Because he just was. Yeah. Let's see. Tech Holmes plays Hutch, another one of Van's, crew. Emily Rutherford is Jeannie. Not too bad. Um, we also have Curtis Armstrong. You may remember Dudley Booger Dawson of the Revenge of the Nerds franchise as Officer Gibson. Yeah, he appears in this. He's pretty good. Let's see. And there's lots of others. There's E. McClurg appearing in this as the campus tour guide. There's a cameo by Dr. Joyce Brothers. Tom Everett Scott's in this, although unfortunately he's uncredited. The director of the film, Walt Becker's in this as a fireman. And there's even Simon Helberg as the character of Vernon. This is just even before he went on to play Howard Wolowitz on TV's The Big Bang Theory. So you got to admit the cast is not too bad. So with everything said, Van Wilder might be a mixed bag. I mean, it's got tons of raunchiness than you can ever imagine, and lots of gross out stuff and what have you. But if you like films like Animal House or American Pie or maybe other raunchy comedies before this, maybe Porky's, then I think you'll feel right at home with Van Wilder. I'd recommend you give this a one-time watch. So, what did you think of National Lampoon's Van Wilder? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, be a part of the Big D Nation, and continue to help support my channel. You know the rest. I'm only 13 subscribers away from 1,000. Again, keep it up. Join me next time when I review The New Guy with DJ Qualls. So if you like this, check out my reviews for these other raunchy type films. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of the classic itself, National Lampoon's Animal House from 1978. The upper right-hand corner is my review of Porky's. Or if you'd like maybe a film that Ryan Reynolds recently had done, check out my spoiler-free review of last year's big hit, Deadpool and Wolverine, in the bottom left-hand corner. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.